Welcome to the Eventful Podcast, where real conversations meet big ideas.
This is where the real journey gets shared.
It's honest,
It's inspiring.
and it's always eventful.
Today on the Eventful Podcast, we're joined by Julia Martin, co-founder of Dream Builders Academy, an education company creating modern, real-world curriculum blending mindset, career readiness, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. After a 12-year career in advertising at Google and Twitter, she transitioned into impact-driven education and also created the Dream Your Life Journal and Dreams Framework. Thank you for joining us on the Eventful Podcast today. For all you listeners, I am super excited to have this guest. The guest on this podcast is someone that I've been wanting to have on a podcast for a long time, and someone that has their own podcast that inspired me to start our podcast. So we can get into that. This is Julia Martin, who is the founder of Dream Your Life. She also has other businesses that she will get into, but it is an absolute honor to have you on, and I can't wait for this conversation.
It's an absolute honor to be here, and I just adore you, both of you, so much. So thank you for having me.
So we've been talking about having you on forever. So we're so glad that it finally worked out, and so thankful that you're taking the time to chat with us. Julia, do you want to give, I definitely want to get into how you and Meredith know each other, but for our audience, do you want to give a little background on who you are, what you do, and anything that you'd like to share before we start our conversation?
Yes, for sure. It's so funny. Like, oh, okay, what is my elevator pitch? Who am I and what do I do? Because it has evolved so much, especially these last few years of being an entrepreneur and shifting things in my business and starting something new and then shifting again. But as of right now, as of February 2026, I'm the co-founder of an education company called Dream Builders Academy, which was sort of a spin-off of a coaching business that I started. I'm no longer doing coaching, although I am doing some kind of like group programs and stuff. But really what we do is we create curriculum and programs to help people create lives and careers that they love. We have programs for high schools and adult schools. We have programs for correctional facilities. And then I also run a lot of retreats and do more like group gatherings and things for mostly women who are looking to really expand their life and use the tools that have really changed my life around mindset and manifestation combined with business strategy and things like that. I would say umbrella is I help people create lives and careers they love, and that is through education with really infusing a lot of manifestation and belief work and mindset.
I love that. We align with all of those things. So I cannot wait to get into what we're going to talk about today. But first, Meredith, maybe you touch upon how you know each other.
I believe I met Julia in 2014, and we can get into kind of how you went from corporate to what you're doing now. I know that you were doing business development, sales. I was running the events for a MoPub side of the business at Twitter, and I quickly gravitated towards you. You had such a beautiful energy. You were super friendly. I remember. This is funny. I don't think I've ever told you this, but I think it was like the second day you worked, you were so nice. You came up to me just simply asking for t-shirts because you wanted some of the MoPub branded ones because we had an event coming up, and you were so kind with how you asked. And I was like, oh, this is going to be such a great person to work with. So I've known you obviously for that time. And then Julia was actually a big part of my Just Knows This. We talk about this on a couple of other episodes, but I've really tried to go on a wellness journey in the last couple of years. And when Julia left MoPub Twitter, she started her coaching business, and I saw that she had put up, I think we hadn't spoken in a while, and we had seen each other in and out of different events through the industry, but you had put something on your Instagram saying that you were taking 30-minute free calls for your coaching. I immediately signed up and worked with you for I think several years at that point. And you really helped me a lot. And I don't know if you have anything else to add. But how we met.
When I started, I had just gotten a puppy, a little mini golden doodle. And Meredith, I think you must talk about your love of dogs on this show. But I remember you beelining and saying, puppy, when do we get to meet this puppy? And then you would every day, like you'd come in, you'd be like, how's Bruno?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And I don't know if we're getting into career, past lives, but Twitter was an incredible experience. And I did feel like after a couple years there, there was something started shifting in me, and I started feeling the pull, the like, what's wrong? I've manifested my dream career. Isn't this what I wanted? Isn't this the life that I wanted? And something felt so off. And I don't know if we're going to get into this, but it was at Twitter that I started to realize this isn't aligned for me. This isn't what I'm supposed to do. And this isn't who I'm supposed to be. And when you have that feeling, it can become all consuming until you make a change.
That's definitely what we want to go into first here, just through the background that Meredith mentioned. You had a career in tech, you transitioned into coaching, and you just touched upon the moment that you really realized that something has to change in my life. And so I want to chat about that sort of deep look, the internal whisper, like you said, that becomes impossible to ignore. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit about what was your life like in those tech roles that you were in, and when did you first sense that something needed to change?
This is a big part of my story and also why I'm doing the work that I'm doing now. It was all part of it. It all needed to be part of it. But it actually, I'll rewind back. I was living in LA, had just gotten laid off 3 times over the course of a year and a half. This is from someone who was a straight A student, did everything right, got into the good schools. And then I found myself in this place where I couldn't hold a job. I was surrounded by negativity, and I had these dreams and ambitions for a career and a life, and I felt so far from it. And during that time, someone gifted me a book called Infinite Possibilities. Meredith, I'm sure given it to you or shown it to you, but
Yeah.
this was a book. We all have these, right? That change your life. This was the book that completely changed my life. And it introduced me to this concept of manifestation, which, a lot of people, I feel like I try to take it out of the realm of like Pinterest quotes and Instagram reels into something that feels tangible. But really, like, this book explained it as the thoughts you think and what you believe and what you focus on, you can make happen through your mind. Your mind and your energy and this universe that we live in is that powerful. And it really outlines some of the steps that you need to take. One is really getting clear on what you want, right? You can't manifest something if you don't know what it is. And also the importance of believing that it's possible. And for me at this time, I was just plagued with so many limiting beliefs about my worth, about what I could do. Now, 3 basically layoffs on my resume, no experience, who's going to ever hire me, all this stuff. So I started to really do the work around this. And then the power of visualization, really imagining what you want to happen and practicing that and taking action from a place of inspiration and not force, which, by the way, these are all the steps that now I teach in my programs. But I started practicing this and I was like, I'm going to manifest a job at Google because those people have it made, right? They're riding around on their little bikes and they're eating free food all day and doing fun things. And I want to do that. So I put it out there. I was like, this is what I want. And I worked on my belief around it. I picture myself on that Google campus every single day. I'd like pull up pictures of Google and I'd see myself on the bike. And I got a job at Google. They moved me to Mountain View, and I didn't know anyone. It was definitely something I manifested. And when I found out that I got that job, it wasn't even about the job. I had recognized, oh my God, this works. This thing that I did with my mind is powerful. And ever since Google, I would start practicing it in my life and manifested my husband, who doesn't love when I say that, but I did. And lots of different things, the kids and a move to Pacific Palisades and working at Twitter and all these things. I felt like I had found this ultimate hack and I would use it in business development, like to get to the top of the leaderboards. Everyone's like, how many people did you reach out to? I'm like, not that many. That's not what it is. There's so much more to this. This is like believing it's possible. And I share all of this because I learned so much at Twitter and Google and just working in tech and the people that I met. I would never have changed that. And again, because I think that was part of my story and what I needed to experience. But over the years, especially starting in like 2020, when we were all trying to figure out like what is going on, what is happening with the world, and what do I want to do with my life. It really hit me hard. And I had at that point 3 young kids, and I was like, there's something more for me. And I realized that teaching this tool that had changed my life in every area was part of my purpose. And so that led to me starting this kind of like burner account podcast that I didn't tell anyone about, but I would talk about it. And that was called Dream Your Life. And the podcast led to people from all over the world DMing me and asking me questions on how to manifest and how to shift your mindset around certain things. And then that led to, doing some free coaching that led to paid coaching. And then all of a sudden, I had a full-fledged coaching business while I was at Twitter. And I was like, okay, well, something's got to give. I can't do all of this and be a mom and be present in my life. And so that was the beginning. But going back, Jessica, this is like a really long-winded answer, but I think it was recognizing that the journey that I had been on and the tools that I had learned and this passion and fire that I had inside of me, it was all meant to be shared in a very different way, not at Twitter in business development. And the more that I recognized when I started helping people with it, the more I was like, oh no, this is what I need to do. Like I, I I can't be put on this like corporate hat anymore and pretend like there's something much bigger for me.
I didn't know you were coaching people when you were still at your full-time job. I had no idea. So I just learned that.
No one knew on purpose.
You were busy.
Yeah. And this is actually one of the biggest limiting beliefs because a lot of people come to me and they're like, I want to start a business or I want to do something on the side, but I have no time. Everyone's favorite excuse is I have no time, by the way. And the thing is, when you are passionate about something and you really love it, you find the time. And not only that, but you become more efficient in everything else. Have you heard the quote, if you want something done, give it to a busy mom? It's that kind of thing. So for me, starting the like coaching business on the side, it actually made me better at my job. I got promoted during that time because I was like, I'm going to be as efficient as I can. I also had this like excited energy that I was bringing every day because I was doing something that lit me up.
Over the years, we've planned more than 1,000 events around the world, which means we've spent a lot of time inside incredible hotel properties. From remote ranches to historic estates to urban icons, we've seen firsthand what makes a venue truly work for groups. In each episode of this season, we're highlighting one property that we love or that has seriously impressed us. Our property spotlight today is Gurney's Montauk Resort and Seawater Spa in the Hamptons. Known for oceanfront settings and relaxed coastal luxury, it's a favorite for incentive programs, wellness-forward retreats, and gatherings that mix sophistication with ease.
How did you navigate the fear or uncertainty of leaving a successful career path? Did you have fear or uncertainty, or just curious to hear about that?
There was definitely fear, but because this is the work that I do, I named those fears and I would reframe them to myself over and over again. So I think one of the big fears was I'm an equal contributor to our household. I'm not going to be able to make up the income from this high paying tech job doing coaching. And then I started so one of the ways to reframe is you find counter evidence. And so I started asking a lot of coaches, we're getting information. What is this out? Like, what can you actually make? And some of the numbers just blew me away. I'm like, okay, well, if it's possible for these people, they're making quadruple what I make in tech. If I could even get a half of that, it would be golden. And then all of a sudden that limiting belief went away. So it was no longer about the financial situation. There's other fears that come up, stability and things like that. But there was always like, well, if it doesn't work out, then I can go back. It's not like corporate world is leaving. So I think it's all about getting your nervous system like in check and feeling good. And then it becomes about just leading with excitement and inspiration and trust.
Absolutely. And it's funny, you just mentioned almost the exact same phrase that Jess and I had on our podcast. People always ask us how we started our business. And we started it right before COVID, as you know. I mean, we've worked together on this and we had nothing else to lose. We also had gotten laid off. We're like, well, there will be corporate jobs available. And we just had that exact type of mentality. And here we are 6 years later. But yeah, it's
Well,
very, very similar.
similar, and it's this this tends to happen when you're meant to do something on your own. And this is whether you're spiritual or not, there is something about leading from that place that you ultimately you are protected, you are supported. And I've seen this time and time and time again, especially if you do it with the right intention, right? There's always the stories of the failures and stuff, but those usually lead to something too. But anyway, for me, because I had 3 young kids, and again, I'm not like a huge risk taker, that I was like, okay, once I save this amount of money from the coaching business and we have this little like nest egg, then I'm going to make it my full-time thing. And I had this number in my head, like a very specific number. You know, Meredith, I love angel numbers. So like an angel number situation. And I had it in my head, had it in my head, had it in my head. And I'm like, as soon as I get to this number. But then one of the things about manifesting is you have to let go of the how. You just have to trust and let go of how something is going to happen. But for me, I'm like, once I get to this number, and I don't know how, I don't know, I'm not going to try to say like how many clients and how many retreats I have to run. I'm just going to trust. Once I get to this number, that's my sign. And there was a reorganization of Twitter about 3 weeks after this big, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, this is my number. And I had an opportunity to go with the acquirer, like a lot of us, or take a severance. Option A, to go with the acquirer, it was like the big title and the big paycheck and all the things that my former corporate self would have been like, this is success. But I was like, no, I have to make this work. Like, this is my opportunity. And I got the severance, and it was that number.
That is so crazy.
You can't make this up. Like, I showed Alex, my husband, and his jaw dropped to the floor. It was unreal. And this is where he's like, okay, manifestation is real. I get it. I get it.
I'll never forget the day. I think she slacked me or texted me. So we were talking about like, oh, this is what we want. We really want this client or this event. And she wrote back, let's manifest it.
Yeah.
And so I was raised, my mom is very in touch with energy and she does Reiki the entire time I was growing up, and even more so now. She's very woo woo. And so I had kind of been raised with this entire approach. So I've been into manifestation for a very long time. It's only, I would say, in the past probably 5 years while I've been in my 30s and, we've been growing our business where I've just had kind of like this blank slate to create things, manifest things, and watch them happen. However, when Meredith texted me, let's manifest it, I was like, who is she talking to? because,
That's not my normal.
because she's like this tried and true New Yorker, practical, pragmatic. What you see is what you get. Life is hard, but we're going to get through it. And I'll never forget when she said that to me because I was like, something's changed. Somebody's talking to her about something because I really had never talked to Meredith before. I mean, this was many years ago, obviously, when you were coaching her, but I had never really talked to Meredith before about manifestation because I just figured she wasn't into it. And I just had to comment on that because now that Meredith's had her coaching with you and we've both sort of grown in our not only personal life, but work life, and our trust in manifestation, our understanding of it, our ability to use it and to sort of practice it. But it's been such a fun way for us to grow together and grow the business together. And I think you really brought that to the table. Honestly, it's because of you.
Well, I love that, first of all. And I will say that my specialty is in the skeptics, like, because I am still a little skeptical with all things woo. And that's, I think, what drew a lot of people to my podcast too, is it's about manifestation. But I'm like, with things that I can't see or prove, I'm going to try to poke holes and ask the questions. And when people talk about past lives and mediums, I'm like, I don't know, like maybe, yes. But for me, manifestation, the way that I approach it, first of all, is all science backed. And it is very much the way our brain works. So it's not this like, I'm going to like sit and will something into existence and high vibes and unicorns and let's just make things happen. Our brain has something called the reticular activating system, and there's billions of pieces of information that we're all processing at all times, and our brain is filtering it out. So when we tell our brain something is important, like that RAS is going to come in and look for the things that support it, the people, the ideas, the random little opportunities that happen to come in. It's because we're seeing them. And then the same with belief. We're not just like, I need to believe it to achieve it. It's no, when your brain believes something to be true, you make it happen. And this can be shown in the placebo effect, right? There's thousands and thousands of studies. We think we're getting the magic pill or the medicine, and our entire body
Yeah.
responds to it. So this isn't woo kind of unicorn butterfly stuff. Like this is actual science-backed, evidence-backed processes that work. And so when you combine that with, yes, there is the unseen, and there are things that, I have visualized where I'm like, oh my God, goosebumps. I'm living into something I dreamed. Science can't really explain this. But when you start practicing it and you practice it in a way that makes sense to you, you will also see the evidence, and that will just further your belief in, okay, I don't need to call this magic, but there is something that's happening with my brain and my energy that works. And yes, this along with strategy, and we live in the 3D world and we have to take action and all these things, but there's something really powerful about your focus and your energy and your beliefs.
What is the biggest misconception people have about manifestation? I think you're kind of touching upon that now, but I loved working with you because I felt like there was actual like science, and there's a lot of woo woo people out there, I have to say. And I become a little bit more woo woo. Just maybe expand on that a little bit.
I feel like there's so many misconceptions about manifestation, which brings about the eye rolls and the like, yeah, well, I'm just going to manifest my way to the front of the line. Oh, okay. That's not really how.
That's how I used to think of it.
I'll share something personal too, because I think this is a misconception too. You can manifest yourself out of bad, quote unquote, bad situations, or that if you're high vibe all the time, you're only going to attract high vibe things into your life. Now, for me, I'm a very positive person, and I think innately, but also intentionally, like I start my day with gratitude, and we can talk about that too, because the gratitude is one of those also things that I feel like is almost trite because people talk about it so much, but it is crazy powerful to shift how you feel, which shifts everything that shows up in your life. I've always been positive. I've definitely practiced everything I preach. And last year, January 7th, we lost our home. Every single thing that we own left our home with the clothes on our back, and our beloved town in the Palisades fires. And I think in moments like that, manifestation isn't about bypassing grief or trying to put on a smiley face or just thinking ahead to like, how am I going to manifest my way out of it? It really becomes about anchoring into the feeling that you want to live from. And I think that's going to your question about the misconceptions is we're all going to face devastating situations in our life. We're all going to face things that are very difficult. I think personally that's part of the journey of life. But to me, it's in those moments where you kind of you meet life where it is. And if you can root into a sense of trust and in a sense of presence, and again, not bypassing the grief and not pretending it's not hard, but recognizing the power that you have to like shape how you feel in your life. And so for us, like when this happened, first we're like, okay, well, I'm pregnant with my fourth, and we need a place to live. And Alex and I and my husband, we sat down and we're like, okay, what is this chapter going to be about? It's not about things, clearly. Maybe this is about adventure. It's about more presence, more connection. It's about family. It's about expansion. Let's make this chapter about that. And so, I mean, that led to us doing something that I wanted to do for almost my whole adult life, which is we took the kids, we went on a world schooling adventure. We moved to Spain for 3 months. We took them all over the world. We were like, we have no home, we have no things. This is adventure. And we just got back, and, we're rebuilding. But I think that's what people are, I think people look at manifestation and it's more about acquiring the thing or getting the job or like finding the love of your life, when it's really about how you feel every single day. And that's what we're manifesting more of, like more of the feeling that you're really grounded into.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of see manifestation as growth. How can I grow? And in which ways can I grow despite, I mean, life is life, right? And you can look at it with a positive lens or a negative lens or either at different times. But I think it's just like, what is, I don't even want to call it like an upward trajectory, but how can I grow despite, okay, we lose a client or something like that. Like, how can we grow and look at this? What is this leading to?
Yes.
Potentially a negative, it feels negative at the time, or let's say a breakup, or I don't know, just setbacks. What is this leading me to at this time?
This is exactly it, Jessica. And this, so the way I look at it is how is this serving me? Maybe I can't see it right now because I'm so blinded by the grief or the sadness or the frustration or the anger or whatever. But I have come to a point in my life where I truly believe everything that happens. I don't like it all happens for a reason. If you believe that, fine. But to me, I like more, there's meaning that comes from everything that happens. And maybe I don't see it right now, but I bet looking back, I'm going to be able to connect the dots and there will be something, my soul will be served in some way, or I'll become a more compassionate person, or that client that we missed out on leads to the better client. Or you can take this kind of philosophy, if you really believe it, which I do. That's what ends up happening. And it does, it becomes like this past year, the 2025, what maybe started as my worst nightmare come true, turned into one of the most beautiful, expansive years. And it's because I really believe that it was because of our decision to look at it like that and turn it into that.
That gives me chills.
Yeah, it really does. Even on like a micro scale, for instance, Meredith and I, the end of last year, we were hoping that a couple of things were going to happen. And then we kind of forgot about it, right? You just move on and you forget about the how. And that's kind of how I manifest is I just say what I want and then I forget about it because
Yes, that's
things have such a unpredictable way of working out. And then you get to the result of it and you're like, wait, I remember I had that thought and then I let go of it and now I'm here. However, Meredith and I last week, we looked at each other and said, wow, I'm so glad those things didn't happen
yes.
because now we have this. And it's just interesting how the universe lays everything out and how things come to fruition. And I would say what you want, sometimes you end up getting even more and so much better than what you thought you
This is
wanted if
something
you just
better.
let
This is
go of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
a big part of like, so for years, people would DM me or ask me on podcasts, okay, so you're the manifestation person. Like, tell me what are the steps? I think here we're all type A, right? We like steps, we like a framework, we like to know we're doing it right. And so I did come up with a framework. It's called the Dreams Framework to Manifesting. First step is to declare it. Like you have to be clear on what you want. You can't manifest anything if you don't actually put it out there. The second is reframing your limiting beliefs around it. The third is envision. Envision is so important. Picturing that thing that you want like it's already happening. That's mental rehearsal. Aligning our energy, that's gratitude. As much as we can, focusing on feeling good and then making moves from a place of inspiration. But the last step of dreams is surrender. And this is probably the part that most people, especially people like us that are go-getters, have businesses, we like to get things done. We like to little micromanaging. It's hard when you're like, want this thing so much and I know the way to get it done. The problem is when we do that, we block out 95% of the ways that are actually more efficient. So the letting go and what you're talking about, Jessica, is like putting it out there, letting go, just makes space for this thing to happen in a way that, honestly, you could never come up with on your own most of the time. When it's something you like really desire, when you let go, it will show up and you'll be like, "What? I would have never thought." Like for me, the world schooling thing, I have written it on my vision board and manifestation list every year. I just want to go 3 months world school the kids. I did it on January 1st, 25 last year. And my husband was like, "Don't write that down because this year you got all the things." I'm like, "I'm going to write it down every year." Never would I have manifested our entire town burning down, obviously. Still would never have chosen it. but it was like it created this window where it was so easy. And the schools, all of my kids' teachers it was like, yes, let us support you in this. The fact that everything was just seamless. And it's like, okay, I see you. There's something to that. And I've seen this happen so many times when it comes to true surrender, that I really trust that when you put it out there and you do everything you can, there is a force, whether you call it the universe or God or source or whatever, that is supporting you, that is going to get you what you want, but you've got to let go.
I want to talk a little bit about your brand. I'd love to know, how did you approach building your brand and the offerings that you had from scratch? So I just want to kind of hear about that, because you have really built a brand. And even in the work that we did together, we talked a lot about brand building and like even how Prospect Events is a brand. So just I would love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, so I have two separate
Yeah,
businesses. Dream Builders,
right.
and I'm mentioning this because they're very different brands. Like
Yeah.
one is more education institution. We're talking to school districts and teachers and, government officials. And so it's going to be very different than my more woo manifestation, dream your life, like let's do retreats and, that whole thing. The way that I approach both brands is really thinking about who I'm serving. And for Dream Your Life, when you create a company, especially if you're creating a type of service based business, and you think about your ideal client, you want to think about, how are they perceiving this? Like, how do I want them to feel? And with Dream Your Life, it was so clear because it was an old version of myself. I want them to feel inspired, excited by their life, open to a little bit of the woo, a little bit of this like magic that we can tap into, but grounded in science. For a long time, I was teaching people how to create their own coaching businesses, and this was a big piece of it. We spent a lot of time on the branding and evoking a feeling, from the colors that you use to the fonts to the language to everything that makes up a brand. And I think for me, one of the reasons that the brand sort of caught on early on, this was like the best piece of advice that I ever got starting my podcast, is someone told me, speak to one person that is your ideal client. Just speak to the one person. And I think what happened in the beginning, or what happens with a lot of people, is they're trying to speak to too many people and then the message just gets lost. Because you're like, well, I have guys that are listening, and then I also have older people. There's some Gen Zers in there, so I should throw in language here and make sure the examples all resonate with everyone. And for me, everything that I do with Dream Your Life, I'm speaking to one person. And what ends up happening is that people reach out to me all the time, and I get the same thing. I feel like you're talking to me. I feel like you know me. I feel like every example you use is for me. When I was looking for coaching people, people felt really connected to me because I had a very strong voice, and it was very much to that one kind of ideal client, which happened to me, like a prior version of myself. And so that's how I think about branding. And then for our education company, a lot of what we're creating, we have financial literacy curriculums, we have entrepreneurship, we have agriculture, and a lot around career development. But we want it to feel fresh and exciting and new and different, but also not AI, right? We're not the AI company. We're not fancy tech people. We're creating programs that are going to make a difference, but also resonate with an audience that maybe they use AI, but maybe we're stepping away from it a little bit. And so we think about that in the way that we communicate in our messaging and our branding and everything, is let's be cutting edge without being like AI cutting edge. Let's resonate with this next generation while still being grounded and feeling like a reputable business.
I love when you said the version of me before, because we can always change, right? If I compare it to just how we have our business too, our business has evolved a lot because we've changed a lot. And the things that we want now with business might not be the same as what we wanted 6 years ago. Being okay with change, that touches me at least, with just how you've evolved your brands. And I love
Yeah.
that.
Well, I'll give you one tangible example because I have it right here. So this is the Dream Your Life journal. This is because I gave you one. Both of you.
And Jess has one that I wrote for her.
Of
So
course.
this seal There's like a very specific reason that I use this teal. It feels like dream your life, right? It feels inspirational. It feels calming. It feels happy without being like in your face. And the state of Hawaii also wanted this journal, but it's going to be very different in an educational setting. So anyway, different colors, brighter colors. We have yellows, we have reds. We're not calling it dream your life. We're calling it build your life. It's the exact same journal, but all of a sudden it really resonates with that audience. So I feel like that's one tweak with branding that you can completely change based on who you're marketing it to. A color change and just like a slight tweak to a name is all the difference.
I love that you touched upon building your business. And also, we've talked the entire time about business and manifestation at the same time. I definitely had things that I wanted, manifestations that came to fruition before we started our business. But I do really feel like my self expansion and my growth, just in general, but also being able to create something from nothing and also create possibilities and growth and manifest while having a business has almost been the purest form of seeing it in action, because there are truly no boundaries really to what you can create. I really feel that way. Like, I know in general for anyone, even if you're working in a corporate job, which is the right path for some people, we've all done that, right? And we could all still be there. Not everybody's cut out for entrepreneurship. However, for me personally, being an entrepreneur and building a business, it's a blank slate. The possibilities are endless to
Isn't
me.
it so fun?
Yeah.
And when I get into like gratitude, again, gratitude can shift everything. I don't just do my family and my health and my home. I really try to think about things like that. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be able to create. And that leads me to like, I'm so grateful for freedom. I'm so grateful that I'm doing something that I love. I'm so grateful for my clients that have supported this and trusted. And then it just leads to this rampage of appreciation. And you guys, when you do that and you start your day like that and you actually feel it, feel the gratitude, you become a magnet for more things to be grateful for. Like, this is when the whole like law of attraction comes into play. And so this is what I teach and this is what I bring to into every live retreat I do is the power of starting your day with gratitude makes you a master manifester just almost effortlessly, because all of a sudden everything that you desire, the things that you're grateful for right now, they're coming to you and you're more things to be grateful for, right?
It's interesting because I actually listened to a Jay Shetty podcast. He was talking about how the mind naturally goes to the negative stuff, but when you start to have gratitude and exactly what you're saying, you can literally reframe like your mindset and change your mind to start now looking for the positive. And he gave an example. You decide that you want a pair of red sneakers. Now you start noticing that like a lot of people have red sneakers. You never noticed the red sneakers before, but you've now trained your mind to look for things because you want something. And it's the same with gratitude or
Exactly.
manifestation.
And this is the science behind it, right? This is the reticular activating system. Like, you want a black Tesla, and then you're like, why are there black Teslas on every corner? My neighbor has one across the street, and there's three parked in a row. Like, not that's weird. And it's because you're all of a sudden noticing it. So exactly the gratitude piece too. If you train your brain to think about and feel the things you're grateful for, you're gonna notice more things to be grateful for. And you're gonna pick up on that. And so it really does. It builds momentum. It also just feels good, right?
It's a skill that you build, and the more you do it, the more clear you get and the better you get at communicating what you want. And it's so funny because, oh my gosh, my mom, I wish she were on this podcast because she could talk about it all day, but she's a leader. Been doing this since like before manifestation was a mainstream thing. When we were little, I'd always be like, oh, you're so crazy. Don't say that in front of my friends, because it didn't used to be a thing. And now everybody's manifesting. It's so mainstream that she was right all along. But we'll do these silly things where if I lose something, my mom will say, well, what would it take for you to find that before you leave for your trip? Or if we're in a parking lot and she'll say, what would it take for us to find a parking space right up close to the store? So we just have the easiest time getting in and out. And so you can practice with these little
Yeah.
things And it's so fun for me. I just do it personally. I'll play a game where even with work, like if I'm waiting on a response from a client, I'll say in my head, what would it take for them to email me by end of day with an answer? And then just like clockwork, it'll show up. So it's
Well, you know why? You know why that I like this? What would it take? It's a very unattached, not desperate way. Not like I need them, okay, I'm going to manifest them to respond, or I need the parking spot. Very different energy. And it's just very soft, sort of like unattached, very like surrendered energy. And that's when things have space to come through.
totally. My mom also, she has a saying which I've adopted, but whenever anything good happens, she goes, how does it get even better than that? It's commenting on how great it is and the gratitude. And so if I ever share good news with her, she goes, that's amazing. How does it get even better than that? Where it's just like,
Love that.
so she's always so positive. And actually, I don't know if you're into Abraham Hicks.
I,
So I just went with my and my brother to an
did you
Abraham.
go
Yeah.
recently?
So we went in June. My brother and I surprised my mom by going taking her to an Abraham Hicks event in Nashville. It changed my life. Like it
Is
was
Oh,
amazing.
okay. Well, we might have to do another podcast with your mom and your brother and me because I
Abraham Hicks is super woo woo. Like that's like people hear about that. They're like, oh my
I've
gosh,
heard of
like what are
Abraham
you
Hicks, but
well,
into?
Meredith, next time they're in LA, they're actually in Long Beach this weekend, but
No
going
way.
they because it's an entity of spirits.
This is so woo woo. I haven't even told Meredith about it. Meredith is hearing about this for the first time because it's
Meredith, we're
so
going. I don't care.
I need some that in my life.
I have notebooks that are dedicated just to Abraham Hicks teachings because it's so profound and life-changing and also just beautiful. Like it just makes you feel good. It makes you so appreciate the gifts of life, especially right now with and I know Meredith, you are the biggest empath, and I can't imagine with all this stuff happening right now in the news. It makes sense of things in a way that feels good and not like again of bypassing what's actually
Yeah.
happening like pain and stuff, but it's this like warm blanket of
Yes.
love because it's all love. Like that's what it is. It's just love that comes through.
I could definitely use that right now. You nailed it because poor Jess sometimes because I feel so much for what's going on in the world. It causes me so much pain because I take on other people's pain. So it's challenging for me. But yeah,
What
sometimes you just need a warm hug.
Yeah. One thing that's, we switched, we used to do gratitude at the table. And now when the kids come home from school around the dinner table, we don't say like, what's one thing you're grateful for? We say, who's someone you helped today? And it's like, I mean, I don't know if this is totally related, but it's been a shift for the kids in thinking about other people. And now they start their day like, who am I going to help today? What am I going to share about who I help? And sometimes they come to the dinner table and they're like, I helped a lot of people. I helped him and I did this. And so we have to remember the importance of that.
We spend a lot of time on this show talking about what actually makes events work, how strategy, leadership, and momentum come together in real life. That's exactly why we built Prospect 365, our partnership model for teams producing multiple events each year who want a strategic partner, not just a vendor. We stay close to your events calendar and your marketing goals, giving you consistent expertise, predictable support, and a team that truly feels like an extension of yours. If that sounds like the kind of support that your team has been looking for, you can learn more at prospectevents.com/prospect365.
I'll tell you something that happened this morning because it showed the juxtaposition of bad things happening, but with positive. So I was in a coffee shop and I was ordering, my back was turned to the door, and some person came in he was probably unwell, and he started screaming at the barista and spit in her face. And she was very startled. And all of a sudden, the other barista just gave her a hug. And then all of us stopped. There were 3 customers and we're like, is there anything we can do for you? And the reason I'm bringing that up now is because a very terrible moment, it showed, I was like, wow, there's actually really beautiful people in the world. Everyone in there was a really good person. So sometimes with stuff like that, I just have to remember you hear the really bad stuff, though that person's really bad. But like there was just one person that obviously did something not great. I don't think he even knew what he was doing. He was a little bit not with it. Let's just say that. But then all 5 people in there were just like kind. And that's why like it just reminds me of that. So I have to take myself out of those moments sometimes to remember like not everyone is bad. In fact, I think most people are good people.
The bad, it's usually lost and
Yeah.
not bad, it's
Yes.
happened.
And not only that, if you focus on there are really good people in the world, then like the red shoe theory, Meredith, you're bringing up, that's what shows up for you. If you're focused on everything's wrong, everything's bad,
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
bad, people are scary, then that's what shows up for you on every single topic. It's the same premise. But Julia, I know we're almost out of time, so we have to ask you the question that we ask every guest, and that is for you to share an eventful moment with us. You already shared several here, even just that happened over the last year for you, but it could be in your personal life, it could be in your career or the company and businesses that you're running now, but something that was pivotal for you that meant a lot. I'm sure you have a lot to choose from.
I always set an intention, and we set family intentions like going into anything. As we went into this little world schooling chapter in Spain, I really wanted to slow down and savor life. I just felt like I had been moving so quickly, It's like one after the other business, like juggling. Everything was a puzzle, and I'm in this like really sweet phase of life with 4 young kids and a husband I love, and I wanted to just savor it. And so I guess it's not really a specific event, but I have an event like in my mind. I had this whole 3 months where every morning after we would walk the kids to school and we walk them on the beach, this paseo, and it's like beautiful. I would sit and have an espresso, like no devices, and sit with my husband and have an espresso. And this is not a big event or moment, but it was so nice not to go, not in a rush, no checking phones, just pure presence and connection. And one of my intentions coming back here to California, which I love, and I love where we live, but things move a lot more quickly here. But I've been trying to bring back my like very mindful cafe. And so at Cafe Lux here, they like give you coffee.
I love Cafe Lux. Which one? On Montana or the
The
Brentwood Country
one
Mart?
on 26th Street.
Okay, the Brentwood Country Mart one.
Yeah,
I
Country
go
Mart.
there all the time.
But they'll give it to you in a mug, and I'm the only person that like drinks out of a mug. But I'm trying to do that because again, like I don't need these monumental events right now. Like what I want is to slow down and enjoy my life with my kids, but also just by myself. So I like sit and I people watch and I drink a coffee in a normal ceramic coffee cup. And it's exactly what I want right now.
It's a lost art just to sit and drink coffee
Right.
without having a phone.
So it's like, why am I in such a rush all the time? Like I don't have time to sit for 15 minutes. And it just changes the whole pace of my day. Like I notice myself walking slower. I still make everything on time. I don't need to be rushing, you know?
I love that.
I love that. I'm going to start doing that.
Well, Julia, thank you so much for joining us. I think we're out of time, but it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for listening to the Eventful Podcast. If you loved this episode, follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and catch us on Instagram at the handle @theeventfulpod. See you next week.